Noragami was released in 2010, written and illustrated by Adachi Toka, the pen name of two different female artists, and with the Season 2 anime that came out in 2014 and 15 respectively. That earned dedicated fans, a fair amount of which still keep up with the manga, I'm sure. But what about Noragami, after all these years, still has people absolutely clamoring for its return or keeping up with ew paper? What about the series made it, even if it's not the most booming property anymore, made it absolutely stay in a cultural mindset? Like how dreamy Yato is. Oh, hey, didn't see either. Okay, so if there's one thing you need to know, it's that monetization is everywhere, and it is how you get ahead in life. Like in prayer. Watch this. I want $1 million. Now, you know that's fair. Noragami's a manga about the good old unseen, which you're probably familiar with if for no other reason than stuff like Jujutsu Kaisen, or maybe you're extra cool and you know it from Blue Exorcist. But Noragami exceeds in that setting by not making you suspend your disbelief because they have rules for the world other than, we all just pretend we don't hear explosions. Did you see that explosion that looked like a hypothetical warrior's ultimate attack? Dude, the fall wind is getting crazy this year. To specify a bit more, Noragami takes place in modern-day Japan, where there are two shores which are basically just like dimensions or realms. And they are the near and far shore. The near shore surely has all the living people in it. It's the reality that we personally know. We would say that we currently live in the near shore. The far shore is where all the gods, ghosts, and other cool things are. It's effectively the afterlife. These two shores overlap, which is why near invisible gods can fight these bizarre, huge creatures without making major headlines or affecting the world around it. But honestly, that setup wouldn't work nearly as well without a stellar cast of characters that fit in the world perfectly as well as interact with one another in a natural but very entertaining way. First, we have Hidori, who we follow near the start, which is a very good way to introduce people to any fantastical setting. Have it follow someone who isn't connected to the world so they learn about stuff the same way as we learn. She's a big wrestling fan, and ever since me and Yato has a bad habit of falling out of her body. Man, I hate it when that happens. We have Yato, who's the main character who calls himself a delivery god and wants to be a god of fortune. He's one of those unseen invisible gods, though they can bring attention to themselves if they want, but he may have darker origins as a god of calamity, which adds to the fact that he has such a fantastic range as a character because he ranges from being a major comic relief type with his goal to become rich and famous. However, that's contrasted with how he can become very serious and badass when the situation calls for it. He fits the tone however the show needs since he's such a dynamic character, as well as Yukine, who has his own less extreme spectrum of being the cool-headed one in a way, but also struggling with the weight of being a part of this world as a regalia, which is a weapon used or object made out of the spirit of a deceased person who serves kind of like a god's partner in, well, whatever ways a god needs a partner for, which is usually combat against the Ayakashi, which are evil creatures created by negative feelings. He also had some good old teenage angst in the spirit world, which could probably be the name of the series if it was a light novel. With the main trio being Yato, Hidori, and Yukine, our understanding of this world can actually be fleshed out extremely well because we have the well-versed experienced person who can explain everything that's happening, the character who's separated from the world but can view it, and someone who's involuntarily stuck with this. So we not only see the mystical side of things, but the ugly side as well. Like the fact they don't even celebrate President's Day. I love President's Day. But once you get into this world, there are more characters of the divine realm. We have Bishamon, who is a god of war, who has an extreme hatred for Yato, which is a mystery by itself. And connected to Bishamon is her right-hand man, Regalia person, Kazuma, who doesn't share this hatred for Yato, but he and Bishamon go side by side and make a great professional team. That shows the high ceiling of both power and status that can go in this world that's kinda based on clout, at least at the start of the series. She can't be that big of a deal. Oh damn, she's verified on Instagram. So the rules of Noragami are kinda based on how many people believe in you and pray to you as a god. That's how gods exist and manifest essentially. They pop up because people pray and believe in them. And if there are people that pray and believe in a certain kind of god existing, well boom, there they are. So it's not all combat stuff like that. And to show that we have a character who's a non-combatant, there is Tenjin, who truly is a big influence that doesn't involve hitting stuff. But I swear, he's not boring. He's the god of learning and is probably one of the most level-headed characters in the series. And finally, who I want to mention at least for this segment is Kofuku, who is the god of poverty and has some connection to Yato's past. And there's her regalia, Daikoku, who balances her out pretty well. And I am praying to the god of pronunciations that I got those names correct. I read the manga to refresh myself on the series. I think the best thing about Noragami's cast is how great they are at balancing each other out. While each person is a standalone character who has their own motivations, goals, personality portrays values, it's their direct bonds with people and their dynamics with them that help the show shine the most, which this regalia god setup works so well with it. There has to be some level of understanding between each person and deity in order for them to fight together well, and we get to see both already established dynamics flourish even further and explored, but we also see some of those start off, such as with Yato and Yukine. Speaking of starting off, let's see how the manga started off. Come on. Clap for the segue. Please, I worked really hard on it. This section was originally like 600 words, and I feel like it didn't need to be that long to get the point across. So let's condense it. The first character we are introduced to isn't Hidori or Yukine or Yato or anyone else. It's actually just some student who is dealing with being bullied, and I think that works well because instead of getting a huge lore dump, then just running with how normal everything is for our lead cast, this first chapter isn't Yato's beginning or anything like that. It's actually Mutsusumi's. Of how she was desperate enough to get help from this mysterious god, and instead we see more and more of what he is capable of, and what he is overall, and the story progresses. It's a genius way to explain a unique situation like the gods, because, well, us and this character are being explained to it at the same time in a natural way, and most would just follow as this ordinary person with no powers. As a person with no powers, I'm kind of flattered to be represented. Most first chapters try to set up as much as they can, which a lot of time works perfectly. They want to get the ball rolling, and normally with this kind of setting where everything is normal except under our noses, it's the main character's first real brush with the secret other side of the coin. But Yato has been at this for a while, and the way it's handled in this series requires a divine feeling from its character, so I think this is the perfect way to set things up. Speaking of godly, have you heard of the openings? The first opening, which is on screen now, is done by Hello Sweetwalkers, who are just one of those bands that never miss when it comes to music. But I love the imagery when it comes to this opening. There are a lot of lights and cameras to show Yato's desire for fame and fortune, but every character gets their own little section in this opening, normally paired with whoever they're affiliated with. And each part in like the first half is connected with Yato walking, which shows that this is part of his life as he's going along. The first drop of the openings is the three main leads in a circle, and they each get their own little pose part before it goes into the action sequence, and God, I love it so much! And I think what I like the most about this opening is just how similar it is to the first one. Like, it feels like an evolution of the way things are being conveyed with the same color palette and the same action shots. I really like both these openings a lot, and they are actually what got me to watch the show to begin with. Noragami will always be at the top of my list when it comes to suggesting anime to people. The feeling of a higher power's mystery never fades away. But, speaking of a higher power's intervention, I'm gonna give Stone a call to see if I can get Noragami Season 3. Yeah, I can give payment. What do you mean you won't take a Walmart gift card? Have you seen the store? They sell everything. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to take this. No, like you can buy a TV and cereal in the same trip.